Morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, July 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting. All commissioners are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First up is comments for items that are not on the agenda. All right, everybody else has a speaking part. Next up is approval of minutes of June 25th.
Also move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed unanimously. Next up is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library presentation. Lisa Harnish, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. For the record, my name is Lisa Harnish. It's so good to see you all this morning. I have the honor and pleasure of being the Executive Director for the Marion and Polk Early Learning Hub, and I'm here to talk to you today about Dolly Parton Imagination Library. How many have heard of Dolly Parton?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Just checking, making sure.
American treasure.
She definitely is. So in case you're not familiar with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, this is a program that she started in 1995 to help inspire a love and joy of reading in East Tennessee in her community, seeing the results of poverty. Also, her father was illiterate himself, and she really wanted to do something really good for children and for families. So she started the Imagination Library, where she began mailing out books to children ages 0 to 4. So books go directly to the home, addressed to the child, all free of charge, absolutely no eligibility for families to qualify. So fast forward, here we are, 2024. We, as the Marion and Polk Early Learning Hub, have the honor and pleasure as a 501c3 to be an affiliate program. The way the Dollywood Foundation runs this program is you have to have a 501c3 that serves as the affiliate, and their job is to work with the community to help children ages 0 up till the age of 5 get signed up. Their job is also to help raise funds to support the cost of books being delivered. And the cost to the affiliate program is $2.20 per book, per child, per month. So think about that. For $26 a year, a child can experience the love and joy of having a book delivered to their home. In turn, the Dollywood Foundation, they print all the books. They also put materials inside the jacket of the books to help parents know how to engage with their child on the book itself, and really to help that engagement between parent and child. They also manage all of the mailing lists and all the things. So it really is, from an affiliate point of view, a very turnkey program. We, as the affiliate, are so committed to this program, as we have been writing grants and working with other philanthropic investors and other donors. Every single dollar that we bring into this just goes straight to the Dollywood Foundation, so that any of the administration, the oversight, all the things that we are doing as the affiliate, that comes out of our budget to be able to do that. So our commitment to our community is we want to make sure that every dollar is heavily resourced to be able to do that. There are some specific books that are utilized that are sort of the touchstone for the Dollywood Foundation. One is the book, The Little Engine That Could. How many know that story, right? So every single child gets that book. That is their first book. And then the last book, when they turn the age of 5, that is when they exit the program and they get the book, Kindergarten, Here I Come. Which is so fabulous to see children can could have up to 60 books in their library by the time they start kindergarten, which is really pretty cool. And there is some consistency with those books. Each year, the books change. So that's the other thing that the Dollywood Foundation does is actually make sure they do all the checking on the different books, really choosing books that are culturally appropriate. And they are books that are new and exciting and new authors, as well as some tried and true. 2 times a year, there are 2 books that come in bilingual language Spanish as well. So we're really trying to meet the needs of families. The state of California has also adopted the program as a whole, and they've been working with the Dollywood Foundation on having all books or books available in Spanish or English, and the family gets to choose. And we're hoping at some point in the future that the state of Oregon will be able to do the same. We launched in July of 22 with 4 zip codes, including Falls City and Independence. And as we have had funds available through grants, philanthropic investments, such as the OCF dedicated funds. We've also worked with Capital Manor. We worked with them last fall to get them up and running. We are one of the chosen 501c3. We did a kickoff there, which was absolutely fabulous. We did some singing of the Dolly Parton songs. And all throughout this last year, we've engaged the Capital Manor residents. And they themselves were responsible for helping us launch 97304. So it's pretty exciting. Since the start of the program in end of July, 1st of August, 7,991 books have been mailed to Polk County participants. That is about 16% of our total across Marion and Polk. We have almost right around 6,000 children who are currently receiving books in their home. And Polk County residents thus far are about 16% of that total. And then in January of this year, so 6 months ago, we launched in Monmouth. What's been so exciting about this program is that through the algorithms that Dollywood Foundation provides for us, they kind of know how long it takes for zip codes to get started or geographic areas to get started. And we have blown every number out of the water. So we're about 50% greater than what the Dollywood Foundation suggests that we will based on our population size. So it's pretty exciting. We've been working with all of our area partners, including Head Starts, including educational programs, including school districts, including the Family and Community Services here with Brent and Stephanie and Abby through parent education to get information out to families, because our goal is that we make sure that every child has a library that they can call their own. And that brings me to why I am here before you today. We have one community who is not yet able to receive books. We are about $7,000 short of being able to start the Dallas community itself, which is just heartbreaking when we go to all these events and we do have Dallas residents that will come and it's like, we're not there yet, but we're working on it. We have secured grant funds from the Dallas Community Fund, also from the Salem Health Nurses have also committed some funds, and the Willamette Health Council at our last board meeting committed $7,000 as a way to get us, because we have $14,000 that we are short. So that is why I'm here before you today, is to consider the support of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library for the Dallas community. We were turned down. We did write grants to United Way, also to Spirit Mountain specifically for the Dallas community, and we were turned down for those grants. So I should also mention that before we will start a zip code community or an area, we make sure that we have 3 years of funding that is committed, because we do not want to create this cliff. And so we are continually on this, trying to make sure that we've got funds that are sustainable and not wanting to create that immediate cliff. Also, this last year, I was very honored to be a part of at the legislature, putting forward a bill and ultimately receiving funding from the state to underwrite 50% of the cost of the books. So what was $2.20 to the affiliate programs is now $1.10. So our dollars go even further. So that is where we are with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Is probably one of the most exciting programs because everybody is able to receive books in the community. Families get excited about it, providers get excited about it, and it's kind of a win-win. And it is definitely too a part of one of our literacy strategies that we are working on with the community, again, to help make sure that more resources are in homes with families, and that families have access to materials that will support them in their work, and also that our early learning providers have the skills and tools that they need to increase literacy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So the 4 communities you mentioned are currently getting them?
Mhm.
All City, Monmouth, Independence,
Mhm.
was the 4th?
Fall City and West Salem.
West Salem.
Yeah, 97304.
Has there been thought to the Perrydale or Grand Ronde regions yet?
Grand Ronde, actually, they have their own Dolly Parton Imagination Library affiliate up in that area. And then Perrydale, their zip code, I believe, falls, I'd have to look at their zip code, but they would get sort of grandfathered in with the Dallas area. Yeah.
And how many youth are you looking to impact here in Dallas? What's the number there?
That is an amazing question, and I will have to get that number to you. Again, sort of based on the rubric and the number of children that are 0 to 4 within that area, I can get that number for you down to a pretty fine tooth comb. Yeah.
And you're currently $7,000 short of meeting that.
Correct.
So thank you for presenting today, and
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me to the Capitol Manor.
You bet. Sing along.
I was happy to help lead 9 to 5. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Wasn't it? And
That song was in my head for months. I think this is just a fantastic program, and appreciate all the preliminary work you've done before you've come to us. It is, I don't think we can let this stand that Dallas is excluded. And no, just anecdotally for myself, reading was a big part of my childhood. My dad was a middle school teacher, and just owning books and collecting my own library was really meaningful. We were also went to the public library, but just owning my own books and building relationships with books, it's something I've kept with me.
Yeah.
And we know that, the research intimately, I'm sure,
Yes.
showing academic achievement outcomes, readiness for kindergarten, just a love of learning.
right.
No matter which field these kiddos end up going into, it's going to help them. So I really see this as a investment, a community investment, and a education investment, and economic resiliency investment, and
100%.
support being a partner for the Dallas community and Polk County as a whole, and really appreciate the attention in Polk County.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that 16% get up to 25.
Me too. Me
All right.
too. I'm there for it. I'm there for it.
So just curious, do you see any other gaps if we were able to close the 7,000? Do you see any remaining gaps in the Polk County area?
The remaining gaps, no, but
Not geographically.
not geographically, there would not be. When we look at Independence and Monmouth, because they have been the most long-standing, this next year, it would be about $4,000 to have them in the next year, which we will continue to do a lot of fundraising and grant writing and all of that. But if there was the ability to ensure that we had another year on top of the 3 years that we already have, that would be something to consider. And that would be about $4,000 to be able to do that. I would also, I was careless in not mentioning that the Independence, Monmouth, and Dallas libraries in particular have been very helpful and a part of we have a steering committee that has guided our work as we have been taking on the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and they've been fabulous partners to be able to not only message this out, but also be a guiding force.
So the households themselves, the families sign up.
Mhm.
This program.
Correct. And sign up can happen a myriad of different ways. We've got promotional materials, bookmarks, which I should have brought today, but I did not. That has a QR code that takes us directly to the sign up. We encourage parents actually to sign them up. Also, organizations can help families get signed up as well. But again, that's all done electronically so that we're not handling all that information.
Just sort of, I'm going to speak while I'm thinking here, but thinking about the families we have on our caseloads right now, who are struggling with housing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those guardians
Mhm.
and parents might not have a lot of bandwidth to sign up for things like this. So I'd love to see some coordination with our rural homelessness prevention teams to make sure those kiddos are accessing this. So happy to make that connection.
Okay, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely fabulous.
Obviously, basic needs are prime on their minds.
100%, but
This is a little piece of joy that could.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'd be happy to also get books to you into that program, any of your homeless programs here in Polk County to make sure that there are books on site all the time.
Been supportive of this, I don't know if that was obvious, but.
So back to the families and addresses question. So they have to make an effort to reach out to the Early Learning Hub to get on a list, right?
Through a QR code, so technically, yes, and we do that in a way that is going to be helpful for them, again, so that their child is at the library, or if it's like at a Head Start program, they can help them get signed up. Many of our pediatrician offices are helping families get signed up, either right then and there, or helping them know how to get signed up.
So do you have a breakdown of your current success of how many families, how many households, and in what areas, what zip codes are receiving books?
I do. I can get that for you.
I'd like to see that.
Yep.
How many local governments are investing in this? And the state?
The state is, Marion County invested in Marion County households for 3 years, quite heavily,
Okay. Enacted by the Board of Commissioners.
correct?
So Marion County, but in Polk County?
No.
Nobody. So what's the outreach to the city of Dallas? I mean, the zip code is generally city of Dallas.
Correct. So to the city of Dallas, we have not done any outreach there, but we certainly can. We have done the Dallas Community Fund, so they gave us $1,500 to be able to do that. Again, not related, but we're also beginning a relationship with the Dallas Rotary as well. Rotary clubs have been very helpful in Salem. The South Salem Rotary Club has been phenomenal partner and raised quite a bit of money to help in the South Salem area.
And finally, is there a list of available books
Yes,
that
yes,
we were going to invest in? This?
Absolutely.
We could oversee
yes.
what the list of
Yes,
books looks like?
they are on the website, but I will make sure that you get that today. yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things in today's environment.
Absolutely.
With all of the stuff going around about books that
100%, 100%.
be careful.
Yeah, no, I think that's very wise. I will say that the books are heavily juried. So there is a lot by the Blue Ribbon Group that Dollywood puts together. So national,
Not Oregonians.
no.
Right. So that's my concern.
Okay.
And so here, in your organization, who's jurying those books, that
We-
list of books?
We do not have the ability to have any impact on that. We receive what they send.
It's all online. I'm seeing.
Yeah, it is. It's all online. I'd be happy to get that direct link to you. And we studied that very hard, and we asked area educators as well about the books themselves, and they were all met with affirmative, yes, these are good, solid books. And I will get that to you so you can look at that as well. Yeah, no problem, no problem.
That's all I have.
If you have an individual child outside the area, can you sign up individually and pay for those books to be delivered to that child?
No, the affiliate program, that's one way that Dollywood manages things is the child has to actually live within that zip code that the affiliate has said we're committing to.
You're looking for a 3-year commitment, correct?
That 7,000 would be a 3-year commitment.
3-year.
No.
7,000 would be the full 3 years.
Yep.
What do you want to do? I've already heard this guy's committed.
Uh,
Or do you want to just sit tight and wait till we get the information?
I would like to know what City of Dallas is going to do. I'm totally in support of reading and
Mhm.
books with youth. I got read every night and I read to my kids every night. So I firmly believe in that, but at the same time, I'm looking logistical for us to step up and pay for the City of Dallas and not pay for the other cities. That concerns me, just that appeal, but I'd love to see if the City of Dallas would be willing to partner. And I'd be more than willing to support this in part, but I don't know if it should be right for us to do it in full. Because there's other communities and I hate to just to focus on one. That's just from past experience.
Sure, and that makes a lot of sense. We could also, you wanted to say this is generally for Polk County, we could do that as well. But this is the last area that we are really wanting to make sure gets access to these resources.
The last gap. And
Yep.
you said Willamette Health Council is also trying to fill that last
Correct.
piece of funding.
Yes, so
Do you know?
7,000. So they were, we had a board meeting last week where we said we are 14,000 short to be able to start this last remaining area. And the Health Council said we'll chip in and get it at least halfway there.
I see this as a Polk County-wide project.
Mhm.
Obviously the program is set up to stand up zip codes.
Correct.
So, yeah. Are other cities in Marion County contributing at all?
Not the cities. We have not yet gone the city route. But we should.
What did Marion County's contribution fund and support?
They helped us stand up the rest of Marion County. So there were a couple of zip codes that were not yet available to be opened. So they committed 30,000 per year for 3 years.
And that's covering some cities as well, obviously. And
Right. Because we have to look at the zip code geographic area. That's how the Dollywood pieces is. That's how they turn them on because it's mail driven. So.
okay, well, it sounds like we need more data, more
Okay.
information from you. And
Yes, be happy to do that. Be happy to do that.
I'm with Lyle too. I do have these concerns about, isolated funding, for a
Sure.
community that eventually leads to other communities going, where's mine? Why
Yeah.
didn't you do that for us? And of course, we're the cart
Yeah,
ahead of the horse here.
right.
And I don't want to get into that kind of a scrap with anybody, but
No,
there would be legitimate concerns, I'm thinking.
and that is some messaging probably that we could certainly do. Because it's invisible to everybody, right? And also this is the last gap. So that's how I'm presenting it to you here today.
Yeah.
But this is a way to sort of top it off. And we wouldn't ever go out and say, because these certain areas. That's not how we present it to the community at all. But I understand your concerns and I'm with you there, and I will make sure that you have all the data and all the supports. And if there's a way that I can do things a little bit differently so that it is a little bit more within what would your comfort level, then I will happily do that because this is such a gift to the children in Polk County that I want to make sure that every single child has the opportunity to have books in their homes and that parents have that support as well.
Thanks so much.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right, next up is our presentation from Tina and Tim about our Polk County Fairgrounds Improvement Project. We were really hoping for some big flashy pictures.
The file still hasn't been sent to it. We tried it.
You'll have to come back.
I'll email them to you.
You want to start? You want me to
No,
start?
you're on.
Well, pleasure being here today. For the record, my name is Tim Ray, Chairman of the Polk County Fair Board. We just wanted an opportunity to visit with everyone in the room about our fairgrounds and event center. Over the last, 6-8 months, we've had kind of a think tank group really looking at long-term strategic plan for the fairgrounds. We all love our little fairgrounds. Has served the county very well, and the county has been very supportive for a number of years. We also, as a fair board and fair staff, have a desire to reach a more sustainable point for the fairgrounds and not be as financially burdensome to the county as it has been. That's common knowledge. The county puts a lot of money into the fairgrounds and it is appreciated and it is needed. We have a desire to get to a more sustainable point to free up some of those resources for the county to allocate in other ways. As you see fit, that's not our decision. We just want to free those resources up for the county to allocate in the ways that they think are best. And so in that, we really challenged the group to open their minds and reimagine what that facility could look like, should look like, and how that would open the facility up again to larger, more year-round economic driving events that can occur in a space and facility like that. A number of years ago, it's been over a decade ago, that the community invested in the 10 acres behind the fairgrounds that to date we use as overflow parking. Not a great allocation of resources in our mind, right? And so we really wanted to be able to create a facility that utilized that space and really created a larger, more economically feasible facility year-round. So with that, I think you've seen some of the basic layout of plans. Again, we were hoping to have some 3D renderings of that for you today, and it just couldn't happen. We apologize for that. The planner just couldn't get that file to us in time, but we believe that new layout really allows the facility to generate more income, host larger events. We're typically booked out a year or two, sometimes 3 years in advance for our larger facilities. And some of those still aren't large enough for the groups that want to come and use the fairgrounds. And so in that new plan, you would see the administration offices move out of building A, which is the domed building right up front on the highway, to a separate new constructed building near where the caretaker house is now, because it gets moved to the south end of the property with a new facilities shop, maintenance center, for the maintenance staff to really be able to move equipment inside, work on it in an appropriate space over next to the museum, frees up some smaller rooms in building A for different meetings and things like that. There's a larger new pavilion where behind building B is now that could be configurable to host larger events. Could be more of a convention setting, could be, like a blank slate for people to come in and utilize that space. The arena gets moved and reoriented with 3,500 covered seats. There is not a space like that exists in Polk County currently. Covered seating allows use of that facility during a much larger portion of our year, and allows us to do special events outside of Fair Week that really, again, draw people into the facility and can generate some revenue and be a resource to the community as well for those folks that want to host these larger events. 2 large livestock barns replaced the existing quaint, unrelated, scattered barns that we have now. I'm just being honest, you've all been there. None of them look like each other, and really no rhyme or reason as to why or how they were built, and they were just kind of added on to as the need has arisen. Livestock numbers in this county have exploded since COVID. We're not quite sure how we're going to fit them all this August. And that's not a driving factor, but that's a benefit of thinking strategically around a facility as to, does it allow for those youth-centered events to continue to grow and see. For reference, my first year here as an ag teacher was the summer of 2004, and that livestock auction generated $80,000. Last year, they hit almost $600,000 generated in that one day. 6 hours generated $600,000 back to youth. That's not a small thing to wink at, right? And so we see this as an investment in our community and our youth simultaneously in really creating a center that can help drive some economics here in Polk County. And again, it comes from a desire to become more sustainable for the county. Again, to be able to allocate some of those resources in a more effective way, not more effective, in a different way, right? We believe we're very effective at what we do. We run on a very slim staff. You all know that. And again, we're very gracious for the support that the county has continued to give. But we really do have a desire to thank the county in a way by becoming more sustainable and really becoming an economic driver, as well as a larger, more feasible emergency center for the county to use. We've had recent events that shadow that, right? The wildfires, even though they occurred in Marion County, we housed an awful lot of animals and people here in our facility from both Otis and up the canyon, right? We just believe in investing in assets, and we firmly believe the fairgrounds is an asset for this county and for the people of Polk County. So we welcome questions, discussions. Again, this is an idea that we think was a lot of thought put into the layout of this facility. And again, as a way to become more sustainable and a larger place for functions to occur in Polk County.
Well, I'll start as the liaison to the Fair Board. First, has it really been 10 years that we've been planning this?
Yeah, our last strategic plan was in
2012.
Yeah,
Where we had little stickers on the boards and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
renderings and ideas.
Well, and we did a
Long
piece,
time.
we did a
We did
piece of that.
part of that.
Yes, we did a piece of that. And as we grew and did those pieces, we had a wide eye opener on maybe some of the things we planned then weren't as
Didn't
good
make
for us
sense.
and make as much sense as we thought they did.
Mhm.
So this one, we really delved in with other people besides just the Fair Board to really look at what we're looking at. And of course, when we did when we talked about place for emergency evacuation, you can't understand unless you saw the fairgrounds during the 2020 fires, what that means.
Mhm.
We had over 400 animals. We had 75 families.
Yeah.
We.
I was there answering phones. It was,
Yeah,
it was all hands on
It
deck, and
has
it was.
been bigger. For instance, if the state fairgrounds for some reason could not have been
Mhm.
opened or held as many people as they did, I don't know what we would have done. We were definitely at capacity. So as we were doing this plan and moving forward, that was a big piece that we took into consideration that we had not necessarily taken into consideration before that. I think because we didn't know what it looked like.
Yeah.
So I've sat in these meetings and I've seen the renderings that we've had an architectural individual put together for us. Mr. Hansen's been deeply involved in this as well. He helped make certain that we secured the professional that we needed to have to help us draft out this vision and concur that it's time for us to put this on the record and at least here have a conversation about what steps we want to take next. I think it's time to, if the plan that we're outlining right now is satisfactory to this board, that we, and I'm hearing that it is affirmed by the Fair Board, that then we share it with the public and then start to contemplate our next steps. You know, we can all pick it apart and, you know, nitpick on little issues. That's really not the objective at this point. It's really about, you know, does the community want to support this going forward and how, in what way? And so I think it's important that we have this dialogue today and discuss what do we want to do next. We've made the investments, we spent the money to put this together and get us this far, and we need to keep it moving if we're gonna do anything. And I think it's essential. I think really in general, I think the community would say, yeah, we support new upgraded facilities and improvements to our central expo location in Polk County. I think all of us know that there is a lot more opportunity for events and for vendors and folks that want to put on different programs throughout the year if we had more space and if it was better organized. So I think it's time that we do that. How we end up doing it, of course, there's a list of things that we could do there, but likely it's all going to be done in phases. So there's a lot of things to do next, but you guys have seen the drawings. And I mean, nothing's changed since you saw the last big pictures. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen the drawings. Those are, you know, capital investments, and obviously we would love more facility and capacity there, but I'm really curious, two aspects. I'm sure this will be phased, you know, at some point, but just the business plan and the staffing plan. So what sort of revenues do we anticipate? And maybe more importantly, I'm really going to want to see a lot more community engagement on what they would like to see for events. What will give us competitive advantage? What will be a draw to Polk County that is, you know, might be in competition with other areas? What will be our kind of niche of draw? And what will be some of the impacts on the area and benefits to I'm looking for, you know, and again, I'm sure this will be staged at some point, but you know, that's kind of the nuts and bolts that I'm really interested in. What is going to be the soul of this, and what is going to be how is this going to reflect the desires of Polk County residents to improve their options for events, and also to bring in visitors to develop that expo piece? Is going to take a lot of visioning and a lot of outreach and a lot of coordination. I've been involved in, you know, big event planning and on the music side of things, and it's a lot. So curious how, as we sort of look at the financial future of this, how we sort of visualize the staffing requirements, how it's going to, because ideally this will be sort of a solvent operation at some point. I'm just curious what that business plan will look like, and really want to make sure we're engaging the public on the programming.
We have discussed the staffing issue. I think the staffing issue was one of the very first things that came to light, is how do we take care of the things that we're going to be bringing in, and hopefully the money that we're making during those events will help that. But
Yeah.
It's important to know how many events we turn away a year.
Yeah.
I turn away dozens of events because I either don't have enough room for them or we're completely booked.
Mhm.
So we are picking up events from the state fairgrounds because staff is extremely difficult to work with, and nickel and diamond. I just took on an event that had to pay $50 to have a microphone handed to them.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. Our business plan has to make our rentals inclusive.
It's
So that
inclusive.
we're not nickel
You get
and
an extra
diamond.
table, you get an extra
And,
table.
Mhm.
Yes, and I can't tell you what Polk County residents are necessarily looking for because that we haven't delved into yet. I can tell you that I don't think we have an event out there that doesn't bring in, at least 1,000 to 1,500 people at every event. Our flea market could use, good grief, they are taking every building on the grounds. They put almost 3,000 people through the door in one day. So it just kind of depends. Our biggest, our hardest is that we don't have enough motels in Polk County
Yeah.
to bring in some of the events. The logging event that happens in Eugene would
Oh, yeah.
love to be in Polk County. They have been to the fairgrounds many times. Many times. I'm kind of trying to figure out, but they would literally take the entire fairgrounds and we'd have no place for anybody to park. So there are a lot of events out there who are just waiting for us to grow so they can bring their events in. It's the same with the arena. I have a group that does rodeos all year long, have been at Lynn County for several years, extremely unhappy, been bugging me for the last 5 years to build a better arena so they can move all of their events here. So when you're thinking about growing and bringing in new events, it's not out there as far as you think it is. It's really close because we have so many people that would already like to use the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And that's all going to be a piece of it. We can't even think about building until we know where that money's coming from and whether we're going to be able to take care of it. I have a group who has been trying for 10 years to talk me into building a covered arena. And I have told them from the beginning, you can fundraise all the money you want for this arena, but until you have $1 million in a bank account for me to operate that arena, I won't do a thing. We know what it takes.
Yeah, and I've no doubt that there's a lot of demand for space and event space. But I still am going to be curious, even by age group in Polk County, what are teens looking for? What are families looking for? Who is underutilizing this space? How can we maximize the benefit for as many people in Polk County as possible? So whether that's done via survey or, through schools, I think there's ways to kind of gather some of that data.
There
Like
is.
who's currently enjoying the space and, Polk County residents, and who are we missing? What can we do to kind of make this as broad an appeal as possible? That's, I'm just stating the obvious, I think.
And this is the start of the
Yeah.
process, right? Is
Yeah.
bringing it to you, getting it out in the public so that we can start to engage and talk around, right? This is the concept that the planning committee came up with.
Mhm.
Does it meet your needs? What doesn't meet your need, right? And really start to dig into some of those questions.
Yeah. Great.
Again, we're trying to be very strategic about this and plan, 50, 100 years down the road. Many of us won't be here to see this come all the way, through its fruition. But you have to take that first step. Right?
Yeah.
And we
Launch the idea into the air and then start the dialogue about it, start the debate about it. Nothing moves forward without dialogue and debate. And so that's why we're here today, is to start the discussion.
And a lot of the events that we currently have would love to grow. We do the Willamette Valley Gem and Mineral Show. This year they bust in 1,800 kids, not
Wow.
only from Polk County, but from Salem. Grand Ron bust a bus in. They need to grow. We don't have enough space for them, but they refuse to move because of the way they're treated at Polk County. They could easily move to a bigger venue and bring a lot more in. And that's just, that's just one of the events that really the kids absolutely love to do in Polk County. We also do a lot of private events. We do a lot of the Hispanic birthday dances. It is almost impossible to find a venue that will do those anymore. We've nailed it down pretty good with our own alcohol server and our own security, that it goes well. So there's that Hispanic side of it that we hit, that we don't hit with almost any other event. They're always trying to do a Mexican rodeo at the fairgrounds. So there's a lot of things out there that we just haven't tapped into, but I know that the Fair Board is going to have a booth during the fair. Those are going to be some of those questions. We start here and then we move on after that to find what people are looking for. And I'm not beyond going to another fairgrounds and stealing an event. I'm not.
That's really exciting. And I think the possibility, just imagining, is exciting. And,
Right.
Well, and there's also more money. So talking about doing the barns the way we're doing them, we stick all of our barns during the winter time are filled with storage. So we do boats, trailers, some farm equipment, anything you can think of, cars, old cars, that we store. We're so packed in there that we can't pack any more in. That is an easy $35,000. Everything comes in at once, everything goes out at once. There is no going back and forth. So once it's in for the season, you can't, I mean, you can come out and put like dry ease in, but you can't take it out. That would allow us so much more room. We have a waiting list of people wanting to get into storage space because we're affordable. So that was another piece of it that we put in as we were talking about putting those barns in, is making sure that we could get all of our storage in those areas too.
One of the new barns would equal all of the barns that we have now.
Yeah, I mean, every piece that we put together went forward with a plan of things that we could
Multiple
do.
purposes.
Yeah, in the future for not just fair. Fair's just one tiny. We do 600 events a year. So think what we could do with a bigger. And I feel right now that our hands are so tied because we're so booked. We could raise the rent, but that's not going to help us. It's just not, and we're going to lose some of our groups because if they can't bring in more vendors, they can't pay
Cover
for
the
the building.
cost.
So if there is no more room, it doesn't make sense for us to raise it too much. But there's just huge possibilities there to move forward.
Does the community have a sense of kind of milestones you want to reach over time so that we can make sure that those are sort of expressed to the board and the public and all that
Yeah,
stuff?
as we were putting it together, we were choosing what would go first, what would go
We kind of know what
second.
phases
Yeah.
would look like, and really working up from the front of the fairgrounds towards the back so that it's really visible up front that changes are happening, right?
The other piece of this, as we move forward and we talk about a tax to help the fairgrounds operate, is that we do so many free events for our community. That could stop if we can't afford to open our doors. I mean, there are so many out there. We do senior fitness. We have training from Salem Police, the bomb squad trains out there. Our own sheriff's office trains out there. We have kids are all over the grounds. We do the independent living program with Polk County. There are so many things that we donate our facility to. Fundraisers that we give them a discount on so that money can be actually used for what it's supposed to be used for. So in all honesty, that may come to a complete stop if we aren't able to continue to move forward, because I do feel like our hands are tied. We're booked into 2027. I just started 2027.
So is there a sense of timeline?
Sooner rather than later. I mean, if you're gonna start, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really for,
Well, even for the strategic plan to be,
we'll have, like Tina said, that'll be, very public at fair. We'll have a booth. There'll be a fair board member in there. That'll be our chance to start to dialogue. So between now and fair, we'll really start to put together a timeline of what the rollout looks like, what the ask is, what the end product is, all of those types of things. We don't want to do anything without you being in the know, right? That we don't want to be that rogue department that goes off and starts doing things and then you hear about it somewhere else. That's not the way we do business. We want to be very open and transparent with everyone. And so starting with you is the natural way to do that. And so we've had this conversation, depending on what your input is today, will really guide us into what that booth looks like at fair and how we put together that strategic plan. We want to be thought partners. We don't want to be this is what the fairgrounds is demanding. This is a collaborative effort here. This is not a fair board against the world thing. This is, okay.
yeah. Well, I appreciate all the work and appreciate the outreach to the community and asking for input. I think that'll be really key to gaining, where people feel like they own it, they will.
Well, that's the ultimate goal, is that we want the county, everyone in the county, to see this as a resource, the resource that we believe it is. And that's really what's going to make this happen.
Great. Thanks so much.
I just see the need. I get phone calls all the time. Why can't have youth cattle shows or horse shows here at fairgrounds in the winter?
We're not equipped for it.
We're not
We
equipped
would,
for
we
it.
could be.
Run off into the creek. I mean, so if we can address those issues with this. And also the ropings,
Yo,
they generate a ton of income.
tiny little
For a
arena
weekend.
out towards Staten is always busy. It's got high school football bleachers around it and some makeshift corrals, and they're always doing team pennants and ropings. As I drive by there, I'm like, that's the kind of stuff that we could be doing.
And
And
they
they fill the stands.
they generate a lot of money in a very short weekend. It's amazing how far people
Yes.
and a lot of adults are willing to travel for their little weekend of fun.
Yep.
And then I'm just thinking, had that wildfire emergency happen in the middle of the winter when we have those buildings full of storage,
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
we don't have an evacuation center in the winter. There's nothing available in this county for people to go or be sent to for housing or assistance. So that is our only resource for basically the Midwine Valley. McMinnville has their fairgrounds.
Yeah.
But that's the closest facility. Benton and Lynn, I guess, have theirs too, but I don't
Benton
know
isn't
how
much
they
larger
were,
than we are.
yeah.
Smaller than we are.
And then just being accommodative, you and your staff, I hear all the time how it's so easy and you guys accommodate their needs. When they have a challenge, you address it right away. And that's very commendable. That's what Polk County is known for. So I'm ready to move on this. I see a need and an asset for our county that financially it brings people here. Maybe we get another hotel built somewhere. Maybe Rick Rawls ready to pick up a few new businesses out there
Right?
around a hub that's bringing in
Think
people.
about, yeah, being a cornerstone of some economic development.
It's all possible. Thank you.
Now to put it down. So I don't want to be like the state, obviously, and put a plan out there and say, doesn't this look great? Wouldn't you like to have this? Everyone's going to probably say yes. Until they know what it's going to cost and are they willing to pay that cost? So the draft plan that's been put together probably has a price tag of $50 to $60 million. I'm not saying that's the end product. It probably won't be the end product. There'll be modifications. There may not need to be as many buildings as is on that plan at this moment in that, but right now it has a $50 to $60 million price tag. So to achieve that, there's one immediate need out at the fairgrounds right now, and that is to create a fair district and to get a tax base. That tax base is an established permanent rate. That permanent rate probably at a minimum would be 10 cents, probably at a maximum would be 20 cents. Whatever you could sell the voters on a permanent rate. So a 10-cent permanent rate is going to generate roughly $8.5 million. Because we have an assessed value of about 8.5 billion in 2 years, right? She says yes.
Didn't know there was gonna be a.
She says yes.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
I look at the tax roll stuff and all that, so we'll probably have about, 85 cents or $850,000 is 10 cents, 1.7 million is 20 cents. Anywhere in between is, 15 cents is 1.275 million. Caitlin would kill me because I'm not using a calculator. You probably need at least 5 of those cents, whatever that permanent rate is for operations. That's gonna generate between $400,000 and $450,000. You're gonna use that for staffing, the offset of what the general fund transfers to the fairgrounds right now and that. So you're gonna have to use that as a base. The rest of that money could be used for improvements or it could be used to bond to get the initial start of, one of the buildings or whatever, If you're at the 20-cent barrier, you probably could bond up to $20 million with your excess money. So you could build a good chunk of your $50 to $60 million phase. The only other way to achieve that draft plan is through a general obligation bond. which will then require you probably to have the voters approve something between 20 and 25 cents per thousand to build the remaining. So those are the realities. But first and foremost is, I think, the establishment of a fair district and a permanent tax rate. Obviously, the quickest you could do it is May of 25, but that would require a lot of work. And I don't know if we could meet the timelines that are necessary to do that. But you could. District boundaries are going to be the county boundaries, so you're not going to have to go out and figure out a configuration of that. So that part's easier. You can go out and get signatures to put it on the ballot, or the county commissioners have the ability to place it directly on the ballot. We haven't done that in the past, but I mean, we've done it for ourselves, but we've never done it for a formation of a district or that, so. Those are the elements that you have to look at. I was part of that planning committee, so I always got to bring up the good news all the time, but that's the reality.
It is.
I'm not calculating in the additional revenue they're gonna get. That additional revenue is going to also contribute to the 5 cents that's gonna be necessary for probably maintenance and operations. You know, I haven't calculated in utility costs and all that, but I figure the additional revenue they bring in would cover some of those additional costs.
That could potentially, the budget committee and board could say, hey, we don't need to levy this full permanent rate in the future.
And you're gonna have some logistical issues. Obviously, if you form a fair district, much like the Extension Service District, my guess is the County Board of Commissioners would be the governing board for that district. However, you also have a fair board that is statutorily in charge of the actual fair operations, not year-round operations, but they're an integral part. And obviously, when you're talking about a fair and expo, fair is the first word that you have. And so that fair board will, you know, continue to operate and have certain decision-making authority that they currently do. So it's a different structure, but it's structure that is easy to work out. So it's those kind of things that you will have to figure out. And obviously, you want to make sure you get the permanent rate right, because the permanent rate is truly the most important thing that you're determining. And the problem with that permanent rate is when you get done with all the funding things, that permanent rate may be greater than you need to truly tax the taxpayer. Because it's probably going to be a combination of operations and bonding. But once the bonding's over, then you have to be dependent on your budget committee and the Board of Commissioners at the time to levy the appropriate taxes. Obviously, that the permanent rate's your ceiling, but you don't have to do that. But I won't be around. You won't be around when that bonding is over. They won't be around. So, you know, it's on good faith in that. And those are questions that, you know, the general public may go, well, you don't need that much money forever, but you kind of need it at the start to guarantee you have a forever, because I can't guarantee right now that general fund will be able to support the fairgrounds as it has in the past. And that's a very valuable asset, as Tina and Tim have said, to the community, not just for the annual fair, but for the year-round operations. So I've said my happiness, but it needed to be said, and it's part of the reality. It's easy to say, yes, oh, this is a beautiful plan, we should do it, until they find out truly how much it costs and whether people are willing to support that or not. You got to go out to the voters, and it's an education, and you know, raising taxes is not the easiest thing to do. Now, is 10 cents or 20 cents a lot? No, but it is to some people, and it should be, so. And no, it won't put us under compression, right? Okay.
Both things can be true. Yeah. personally would support a district. I would personally support paying a little extra as a taxpayer, but understand that people are being nickel and dime right now in pretty severe ways. And that's why I'm stressing the community outreach. You know, conceptually, I'm very excited for this opportunity for the community, but want to make sure we do it right.
And that's how we want to couch it is.
Greg's reality is right in the back of my head as we talk about all of this.
Mind you, I don't take this lightly. The Fair Board does not take this lightly. But again, we see it as an opportunity for a community to come together and really broaden an asset that the county already has, right? And make it that much better. And again, potentially become an economic driver for the county that could return back what it's pulling from county resources and potentially put some back in the coffers. That's all potential. We can't guarantee that, but that's certainly our goal. Again, we're really driven by sustainability because we know the value to the community and specifically our youth that fairgrounds generate. And we think Polk County is a beacon of that to be held up throughout the state of we have purposely remained that old-fashioned county fair. We don't have a midway. We don't have a carnival. We are, I think, as family-friendly of a fairgrounds as you're going to find in the state, where people can bring their kids, they can sit at the food court and they can see their children wherever they are and have this feeling of my kids are safe anywhere on these fairgrounds. We take pride in that. We work hard for that. And again, that's the 3 or 4 days, but that carries throughout the rest of the year that we want to provide a safe environment regardless of what activity is going on. We know people feel safe and they'll bring from their 90-year-old grandparents to their 6-month newborn because it's an open, welcoming facility. And we want to, that will continue regardless of what the facility looks like, because that's just the culture that is there.
I appreciate you saying that because I think, obviously the opportunity is really on the expo side for, revenue generation, but for the fair itself to not really change its flavor and culture. I think that's really important. And I imagine a lot of folks here have grown up with that for generations might see that as a potential risk, but I appreciate the commitment.
I write the welcome on the
Keeping
inside of the
the
fair
fair.
book every year, and it changes a little bit, but it's always that guiding philosophy of we are family friendly. We are truly a place for the community to gather and catch up and just relax and sit a piece, right?
Yeah.
And get some good grub and, watch some good livestock and whatever is their fancy. So.
Just a couple of thoughts. If you can find a prominent place for that display to get this to the public so you can get a lot of comment during that fair, but have a plan together and how you could phase it. And get it. And then also as we get closer, reach out to ODOT because I know access to 99.
Yeah.
It's a challenge right now.
Yeah.
And if you're going to expand, and that's going to be some added cost because there are going to be some changes made.
Require us to do
And
something.
so that's something I'd be glad to help you lead that. When you're ready to reach out.
We have had discussions with ODOT. When they put the bus stop in, we informed them then that we were wanting to expand. We tried to get them to put the turn lane all the way down and they wouldn't do that, but they did do the one entrance and the one exit. And so far have been really good to us as far as that's concerned until my RVs back up across the overpass and then I get a phone call.
Well, I'm just trying to get them to reduce the speed down to the railroad track south of there.
That'll be
At
fantastic.
35.
Yeah.
Makes common sense.
Yeah.
Anybody out there at that event or any event,
Yep.
any weekend
Yep.
understands.
For us, not having any kind of turn lane to get into the restaurant has been a nightmare. Especially when we're releasing an event and the winery is releasing an event at the same time in the evening. So ODOT is on the top of our list.
You have
Yes,
ag,
we'll be talking to you about getting that moved.
Oh, in August, if somebody's moving combines, you're done.
Oh, yeah.
That's good speed control though.
You're just.
Time limit.
They always choose to do all the maintenance on 99 in front of the fairgrounds the week of fair,
Yeah.
always.
but But just the access to log trucks and the ag trucks south of there, trying to get across
Yeah.
and go left onto 99. And you got cars already at 55 miles an hour when they hit the restaurant.
Yep.
I mean, they don't even wait till you get to the tracks. They're just,
Yeah.
when they cross that bridge, they're going.
Reducing
So-
speed limits obviously is not an option, but there's other creative ways to control speed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would, in addition to the booth at the fair, it would be interesting to have some public, kind of town hallish kind of events.
I think
to
we'll have some-
present the strategic
absolutely.
plan and all that stuff,
Yep.
and
Yep.
yeah, I'm sure you're on it, but
We'll have some community talks and some listening sessions and all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff that we've already planned for the winter work session
Mhm.
to be absolutely a listening session around that.
cool.
Right.
And there'll be others, obviously. Again, this was the starting point to really get input from you all about how you, one, if you wanted to proceed, two, how you wanted us to proceed. And so now we've got some guidance on that and we can really put a plan together. And I think fair's the launching point, and then we'll have a solid plan from there on out as to how we want to proceed.
And you and Tina and Craig are going to be with the county for at least 10 to 15 more years. So your leadership will.
That was easy. Just nodding his head here. That was easy.
I plan to be here.
It's been announced, folks.
He's not leaving the county, but.
I will be a taxpayer for the next 10 to 15 years.
You'll be a happy taxpayer.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I think one of the things, I'm gonna do this for the record, to demonstrate the generational interest, my family has been deeply invested in the fairgrounds for more than my lifetime. But I'm 68, and so if I can tell you, for 60 years, I've been a participant on that property in one way or another for all those years. So, and now 14th year here as a commissioner, and I've watched the ebb and flow of what the county is able to do for that property. One of my biggest frustrations, and it was a big deal for me when I ran for this job, that I was going to find a way to help protect that property, make certain that we could maintain it properly and manage it for the best interest of Polk County citizens. We're fortunate today, we're doing that barely. We're squeaking it by. But in my tenure here, we have had some very difficult times. And before I got here, absolutely worse times in the ability for the commissioners and the county to supplement the needs of the fairgrounds. It has, as you guys know, it has suffered lots of challenges. We've been very fortunate that we've had extra dollars that have been able to be allotted to fixing roofs and air conditioning systems, et cetera. Some things here and there that have needed to be done, but that's no way to run a circus. And it is very challenging for me to see the future of this enterprise if it can't find a pathway for funding that's secure. This business of, and every county deals with this, and it's really sad. And lots of people say, why can't you do more? And it's because the funding is not secure. It ebbs and flows, and it is smaller fairgrounds and smaller counties always run the risk of losing that opportunity and having their buildings deteriorate to a point where they just can't use them, they're not safe, et cetera. I mean, for example, Tim's right in the statement about the way the buildings have been built. That's been Polk County. That's the way it had to be done. Lots of volunteers, lots of donated materials, et cetera. Our electrical system on that property definitely demonstrates that. So part of this process is upgrades to water, sewer, power that have to be done as we build new buildings. Huge source of problems for management and the team. Every single day, there's things that are challenging them. My gut tells me if we were had to be inspected for fire life safety, there would be issues. Again, true for every fairgrounds that has this kind of
We're not an anomaly.
history. So, the bottom line is that, yes, we're trying to preserve, but yes, we are modernizing as well in this process. And there are lots of people in the youngest generation using this property at this point that want to see those changes made. They don't want to see it maintained like it was 1900. They do want to see it grow and expand and meet their interests. And we fall short of that. So I can stump this all day long, and I absolutely believe that we should support bringing, we've spent a lot of money so far just getting to this point and having a vision. But we'll need to spend some more money to bring a marketing plan to bear. And at the end of all this, the bottom line is this Board of Commissioners has to give an indication that they support the strategy of moving forward with a taxing district. Because if we're not going to support that, then there's really little point in this committee moving forward. We can't go out and show this to people without saying we're committed to asking the public to support this financially. So that's really where we're at today.
And I am certainly in support of that, like I said, but a lot of that could be changed with community engagement or input, and I can't predict.
Right.
Actually, I can predict it with pretty good certainty that there's gonna be tons of support, but the process, it's really the devil's in the process, right? So not the devil, I don't know what I'm saying, but it's all about the process and then community engagement piece. Yeah.
We want the voters to make the decision. That is ultimately, I mean, that's as transparent as you can get, is to say, voters, here's our plan. Here's what we believe it will allow us to do. Here's the resources we think it will free up for the county to allocate in other places. Here's the events it would allow us to do on a year-round basis that we can't do now. What's your fancy, voters? And they'll tell us yes or no. And
Right.
then we can revamp or retool based on the input we get from that. But until we get something out in the wind, we don't know
Right.
what it is.
Yeah, and that, to Craig's point, that marketing piece, that how we communicate this, and then people are gonna ask how you're gonna pay for this. county.
Absolutely. And we'll be transparent with that.
Board of Commissioners support a district if we're all support of that.
And it'll cost you this. I mean, I want to have a breakdown of if somebody owns a $250,000 piece of property, this is what it will cost you.
Yeah.
We need to be transparent on that.
In terms
And
of,
then also, here's what you're going to get. An updated facility that's usable year round by multiple groups. And these are the free events that can happen because of it.
right. And in terms of timing, I think it's based on what is the process? Can we get it
Mhm.
on the ballot by May? Does that make sense in terms of timing? But I would favor the right process before rushing to get it there. So
Absolutely.
to be determined, to be recommended by Greg.
Right.
Before.
Well, and ultimately, so this is getting all the steps put in place properly, but people will ask day one, when we start demonstrating the vision, they're gonna ask immediately, who pays for this? So I think that all has to be part of the narrative. I think all of the responses, the best we can, should be recorded or, synthesized to something that will help us develop the appropriate language on the ballot.
Mhm.
And I think that's all part of it. But once we commit to the language that's going on the ballot, that's the commitment. So we've got some time. It's the right time to start this, I think, before fair and before summer events, to really start pushing this. And let's face it, the folks that show up at fair and all the livestock events and so forth, those are the biggest advocates. Those are the people that we want to rally for this and have these discussions with. We will all be having them with those folks during that time. So I guess what I'm looking for at this point is, what do you want to do on saying, do you want to say yes to moving this forward
Yeah.
and making this commitment and allowing the committee to continue working on the messaging and the display?
Business plan and all the things that
Yeah.
you rightfully have brought up.
The
Those are
public,
absolutely
public facing things and the
the inner workings, right? That
the business plan, the
Right.
things that, this is step from A to Z, this is how this is gonna.
Yep.
Gonna.
and we have similar ones from other counties that have gone through this
Yeah.
reimagining process as well. They haven't all gone out for tax bases, but we have the skeleton of, right? That we put our own flesh on, that is Polk
I
County.
have full faith in the committee's ability to do that. And, Greg's, it's not a downer, Greg. These are the questions we're gonna be asking anyway, so.
Absolutely, it's the reality.
And
But yeah, what direction do you have for us?
I totally support going district too. I don't know if I think May's being very, is pushing it really hard to get it to the May ballot. I think 26 would be when we could really have time to educate the public and get it behind this rather than just trying to stuff it.
I don't wanna rush them.
That's I want really good input.
Well, it gives us time to build it, right?
Yes.
Really build momentum.
And we can get
build
the word out,
coalition.
get people thinking about it and just plant that seed. Yeah,
We're amenable to whatever timeline. We just want to know the direction that we're moving forward. Otherwise, we'll stop and maintain what we have the best we can. But,
If I continue, are you looking for any other specific direction?
well, I think the discussion has been very helpful. But I think, again, ultimately, like Commissioner Pope has said, is this board ultimately gonna be supportive of this planning committee moving forward, developing the business plan, right?
Mhm.
At some point, getting out in the wind that, hey, the only way to pay for this is a tax base, right? Those types of things. So in August, the Fair Board can be equipped as well as possible, and you all can be equipped as possible when this goes out for, thousands of people to see. There's gonna be questions, there's gonna be comments, there's gonna be light bulbs, there's gonna be questions, there's gonna be concerns.
Right.
We wanna be prepared for all of that, and so we've got 6 weeks from today, basically, to start putting pen to paper and getting those things planned out so that we all speak articulately, coherently, about the project. And we can all be on the same page and be transparent and be open and honest.
we
That's,
need to make a motion to put this in. So
Looking
I'd
for
like-
an action on the record.
I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with Polk County in exploring creating a tax district, expanding the fairgrounds to meet the needs of our communities and county.
Second.
I think we've discussed it pretty hard.
I think so.
I prefer the district over a general obligation bond. It's more.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
more oversight, More governance.
That's a no-brainer,
opportunity, and,
yeah.
more-
You're gonna need both.
but the taxing, but
Hang on, you're gonna need both. The first thing you need to do is establish the tax base and figure out what that is and what extra money you have for
Yeah,
bonding.
yeah.
What I would then do is bond that, build a building or whatever you can, prove that you're moving in that direction, and then seek the second phase, which is a general
GO.
obligation bond, once you've established the tax base and a proven track record that we're serious, this is our plan, this is how we're moving
We'll have
forward.
more data and.
Right.
On where that general obligation bond will be
Right.
invested.
well, right, after phase one, you'd have a better idea of construction costs at the time and all of that kind of stuff.
A tax base will not create your plan or will not do
Right.
your plan. You will need a secondary funding source, which is gonna be a GO bond to, unless someone wants to donate 20, 30, $40 million.
But the tax base gets us to that sustainability pace that Commissioner Pope has
Right.
talked about, right? That's so critical in order to expand. You've got to have some sustainability before you can move forward.
And that first year of your tax base, you can plan for what you're gonna develop in that. And you can use that additional monies to make those immediate fixes for electrical infrastructure upgrades. So you're gonna need no matter what, whether you stay the way you are or whether you expand. So though that money won't be wasted, period. And then, have your development phases occur.
I'm hoping our electrical challenges will be fixed before we ever get to this point.
Me too.
Well, sadly, I think the reality
That
is
is-
they will be Band-Aids
Yes.
each time.
Until we can,
Yeah,
Tear it down,
so you just
start
strip it out and do it right.
Yep.
Fortunately, we're running out of Band-Aids because they no longer make those
Oh,
pieces.
that's why you use super glue.
You hear the grunt?
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Thank you so much for your time, and dedication,
Thank you.
presentation today. All right,
And
may the Lord be with you. Oh, I'll help.
I was gonna say, you can be with us on the journey, right?
All right, not quite done yet. Easy. Any non-listed items?
Done for me, sir.
No, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, now we're adjourned.
All right, I got a meeting.
Based on the Band-Aid comment, we might want to shoot for Matt.